me doing a racket things. I'm like, bro, why are you here? Like, even when we were here, he was here. I'm like, what are you doing? He was like, hey, work, man. Work costs. So it's always cool, man. He's been coming in and keeping me company in the mornings and such. And it's been just an awesome experience. But how are you, Rod?
I'm doing good, man.
That's what's up. That
Hey,
is
Rod.
what's up.
Hey, Brandon.
The man, the legend.
It is the last Wednesday of the month. And we decided let's try and have Lazerus Jackson on.
How's it going, fellas?
It's
good to
going
be here.
good.
Thanks for
It's
having me.
going.
I appreciate the patience as I run through the checklist, drop the kids off at daycare, cram down some coffee, the usual.
The usual. You got it. That's my Wednesday now.
Yeah.
It,
It's like welcome to the party, man.
Right.
Welcome
I
to
can
the
copy
club.
paste that every Wednesday morning. Is go through the list.
Jeez. All right, let me get this here. All right, Laz, I just text you kind of the basic outline, some of the things we're going to talk about. I want to talk about this Jaden Ivey thing, being ranked 5th 2 weeks in a row, being behind Benedict Mathurin. He didn't even play the week that they ranked him behind Benedict Mathurin, and Ivy actually had better stats than the season averages. So I want to talk about that. It was really the answer, the kind of what they put for Benedict Mathurin is like part of it, and I was just like, come on, man, y'all didn't even try, but whatever.
This is the NBA.com rankings, right?
Yeah, the latest rookie ladder. I don't know if
yeah.
they released another one since then, because I know it's been some days. It's been about
I
a
don't
week
think
since
so.
then.
I don't think they have though.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. But
All
yeah,
right. I got till about 9:20.
All right, got you.
Okay.
Got you. I'm gonna get it going, and then I'll rock out with Laz for the rest of it. And then we'll talk about James Wiseman. He's putting up some pretty impressive stats. Rod, we were like, can he average a double-double? Can any big man this year average that? He might do that. Let me
Small
get this
sample size, but it'll work.
Yeah. And I got a work thing at 10.
Cool. What up, though, people? It's your boy Brandon Dent, aka Detroit Kool-Aid, and you're rocking out with the Woodward Pistons podcast. Look, Jeff I, Freddie, Mr. Everything. I'm gonna be talking to him this morning on the Morning Woodward Show. And we're gonna have some content going on the channel a little bit later. So definitely say what up to Mr. Everything when you get a chance. But you may see I got a guest on the screen. We're gonna get to him after I get this drum roll going. Rod, I just want to make sure I get you properly introduced on this Wednesday morning. Hey, look, I believe this is what Rod looks to the most on this Wednesday. So let's get it going. Hey, yo, welcome to the legend Detroit News, Rod Beard. Brother, how are you doing this morning?
Hey, I am I'm up and moving around. I got my tennis in this morning, so I'm ready for my day.
Man, we've been doing this a long time, and I haven't joined you out there yet. I feel like I've been ducking it, but
Oh, I'm playing the best tennis of my life right now. You don't want these problems. You don't want these problems.
But hey, look, it is the last Wednesday of the month, and I was thinking, what are some ways we can collaborate more with some of the other basketball minds in Pistons world? And Lazerus Jackson, somebody in this community, he's the person at the bottom of your screen, Lazerus Jackson. Say hello to the people.
How y'all doing?
He is the host of the Detroit Bad Boys podcast, and just one of the basketball minds that I really, really, really respect. I've followed him and his content for a very long time, and anytime we get an opportunity to do content, I love to have him on. So, Laz, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I don't know if you heard, we're not the Detroit Bad Boys podcast anymore. Little SB Nation, Vox.com shenanigans happening.
What?
Podcast is in a little bit of flux, but we're still going. We're still going through the end of the season, and then we'll figure it out from there.
The content is still good. That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Rod. Thank you.
Yeah, that's about okay.
Put whatever name you want.
The content is still
content is still good.
It's still being produced, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. I just want to make sure people don't get lost when they're like looking for it.
Dope, definitely, and I'll definitely make sure on our platforms that we keep people updated as well. So, keep me posted on that. Definitely.
I will do that. I will do that.
Sheesh, I didn't know, but let's get into this, man. Let's get into this. This NBA.com rookie ladder. Do you have it up there, Laz?
I do.
Man, what? Rod, do you have it up?
I'm getting it now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Laz first before I share my opinions. I do, because Laz is very, very kind of down the middle. He's very even keeled. It's just he's somebody that I'll go to. I'm like, you know what? Am I overboard? Laz, what is your initial thought of these rankings? If you have it, definitely I guess call out the latest ones. The
So
1 through 5.
they got Paulo at 1, Wing Jalen Williams, J Dub, I believe, of the OKC Thunder at 2, Walker Kessler at 3, Benedict Mathurin at 4, and our boy Jaden Ivey at 5. Now, me personally, I'm not gonna lie and be like, I've watched a ton of Utah Jazz basketball this year. So Walker Kessler, like, you want to tell me he's like the next Rudy Gobert? He's the best defensive rookie center we've ever seen. Like, okay, sure, I'll take your word for it. But I think where, Brandon, you wanted to talk about was the continued elevation of Benedict Mathurin over Jaden Ivey at a time when Mathurin hasn't even like played for the last like 3 weeks, right? Not really a whole lot of sense being made there. Mathurin, of course, had the hot start, but Ivey's come on strong lately. He's really developed over the last, I think, since the month of January, like in the calendar year 2023, he's really come on strong.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I understand why he's not getting more love nationally, but it is still frustrating. It is still like an extension of all the discussions we had about Cade Cunningham and his Rookie of the Year campaign last season, where it helps if you win some games.
Yeah.
NBA national media likes when you win games, and the Pistons were pretty bad with Cade last year. Pistons are very bad with Jaden Ivey this year. Not to say that those players are bad, but the wins and losses tally has not been good.
Which matters.
And so
which
matters. And so, like, until that changes, or like, I think so for the rest of the season, you're going to see a detriment or a demerit added to like the Jaden Iveys and the Jalen Durens, because the Pistons are literally the worst team in the NBA right now.
Ugh, that hurts, but it's true. But listen, a lot of your logic and reasoning, I was like, yes. And I was like, let me put these approaches to it. And I was just reading. Okay, Kessler, like you, I've adopted that approach. Rob was like, hey, listen, just like guys aren't looking at our guys, you know, you ain't looking at their guys. So you don't know. They might be. And I was like, cool. Benedict Mathurin, he ain't played. You got to be kidding me. I was like, no. I was so ready to be mature about this. I was so ready to be mature, Rod. I was so ready. I'm like,
there's so much more that you have to do though to be ready. You're not ready yet. You can't be mature all the time. It's just, it doesn't work that way.
Bro, listen. I mean, on the season, 15.4 points per game, 3.9 rebounds per game, about 5 assists per game for Jaden Ivey. And he's answering a lot of questions. He's shooting a 3 at a decent clip, especially as of late. Over the last 20 games, his stats don't really change much, except for shooting numbers are going up. He's proven to be the absolutely like one of the best or most consistent rookies this class. One of the guys where he may go through maybe a 1 game or a 2 game, but it's nothing extended that, you know, where he's having a slump or a bad, you know, stretch. He's just been kind of this consistent 15, 16 points per game scorer, get his 3, 4, 5 rebounds, 3, 4, 5 assists. But his shooting percentage has been going up. His 3-point percentage has gone up. His true shooting has gone up. His free throw rate has gone up, which we were a little concerned at the beginning of the year. All while, like Laz pointed out in the beginning of the show, you know, Benedict Mathurin, he started hot, but it started to tail off, including that 3-point percentage. And I like Benedict Mathurin. He's a prospect that I believe long term in this league, he's gonna be getting buckets for a long time. But I've always felt as if Jaden Ivey was kind of getting shaded or getting kind of placed behind him just because he was in a Detroit Pistons uniform. I don't know how much the wins should elevate a guy who didn't play for 2 weeks in a row above the guy who was only showing steady improvement. Rod, I need you on this one, man.
Well, in fairness, Ivey missed 3 games too. But how many single-digit scoring games does Ivey have out of his 65 this year? 64.
It can't be many. I know he had that long
5.
Yeah.
5.
To the point.
5. So to your point about the consistency, he's if you want to say unremarkable, he doesn't blow up your highlight screen unless he's dunking. And if they're not winning, there's no reason that he's at the top of your consciousness. Kind of what Laz said is, if you're not on a winning team and you're on absolutely the worst team, you're not going to get any attention. And I think that's kind of what dinged Cade last year. But
Yeah.
Ivey has been consistently double digits. And a couple weeks ago, he had the 13 assist game and 12 assist game back to back. And he's leading all rookies in assists. So what has Walker Kessler done that made you say, that dude is going to be something? It's really just kind of he's an ESPN darling or a highlight darling. His numbers don't suggest that he's consistently put it together like Ivey had. And let me say this. All of this is moot because Paolo is going to win Rookie of the Year. So this isn't even this isn't even complaining. We need Jaden to be
number one is unquestioned.
I don't know. J-Dub is coming on lately. And OKC, I believe, is like 5th or they're 7th in the West now with like a game behind 5.
Laz, you're giving writers too much credit here.
That's fair.
Because they're gonna, at the end of a very long season, you get the ballot and you say, let me look at these numbers, let me kind of measure these things out. Paolo's been good all year. Paolo's leading in scoring and right there in rebounding. Let me just get this ballot filled out. That's how a lot of writers vote. They're not going to do the deep
We
dive
talked about that last year, and it happened like that.
Exactly. That's how that works in most cases is, let me look at this real quick. Oh, 20-7. All right, I'm good. Boop, Paolo, let's go. Okay, now, and we got to figure out second and third. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but I think it's going to end up being something like Paolo, Mathurin, and J-Dub or whoever. It doesn't really matter. If you don't win it, then it doesn't really matter. Nobody talks about who was third in Rookie of the Year voting for Kobe's year. Who knows? Nobody.
You're right, because even in this ranking, even though they have him at 4th, and even though they have J-Dub at 2nd, they still put Mathurin as one of 2 top ladder guys to be sidelined at this edition's post. It's like still the promulgation is that he's one of these guys. You know what I mean? He was 3 minutes to his appearance versus Houston Friday when he suffered a sprained ankle on a drive to the hoop. He hasn't played since, and Pacers coach Rick Carlisle has indicated no timetable for his return. That's all they put for his ranking, for his justification at 4.
Yeah.
That just, I was like, oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Mathurin, by the way, shooting 28% from 3 in the calendar year 2023. I just checked. He played last night, so he's back.
Yeah. So
he had 18 points on 10 shots against Charlotte in a loss. But yeah, 28% from 3 when like that was like the main thing that like he's supposed to be. He's a bucket getter. And a lot of that bucket getting is like when he gets hot from 3, and he has not been hot from 3 for the last 25 or so games.
Yep. And I see Ivey's right up on it, and it's pretty cool because it continues to show that kind of consistency thing that we're talking about. You know, I think that they probably should have celebrated his scoring, his consecutive scoring stretch a little bit better. They kind of framed it like Ivey's streak of 27 consecutive games scoring in double figures came to a screeching interruption. But before he was idled, he became the first Piston player to post point assist double-doubles in back-to-back games since Lindsey Hunter in 1994. And Rod, just side note, Lindsey Hunter, this is a guy that just continues to just be kind of all over the Pistons record books, both regular season and postseason. Shout out to Lindsey Hunter. But I'm like, come on, NBA.com, man. Y'all got to treat him a little bit better. If you're going to put him 5th, at least be like, yo, awesome job scoring 27 in a row. Sorry to see it snap. Let's see if you're going to get it back. They're like, Ivey. But at least he did this one little record. But whatever. I'm a little salty, okay?
But even look at Walker Kessler's numbers that they listed from his season stats and his ladders. Who's right there with very, very similar numbers? Jalen Duren. Where's Jalen Duren on this list? Oh, he's number 10. Similar numbers. So if you're paying attention, Jalen, obviously Duren and Ivey are gonna take a little bit of shine because you can't have both of them at the top of the ladder. and
Yeah.
neither one of them is going to win. So you have to kind of say one over the other.
Well, Kessler's averaging like almost 4 blocks a game, according to that's kind of why he's there, right? Like he's like the defensive anchor.
So
for
are we
that,
saying
for
all
that team.
defensive rookies now? Is that what we're doing?
I mean, that's the criteria it appears like they're using. I would appreciate it if the Pistons had some more big men who could play defense. So that does seem beneficial.
I mean, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
But yeah,
you're right.
I do agree that it does seem like Jaden Ivey's improvement, in-season improvement, rapid in-season improvement is not getting enough national attention and not enough national love. I agree with that 100%.
And I get the reasons. And like I said, I was ready to be mature. Like when Rod called out Jalen Duren, I was like, yeah, I saw that too. But I was ready to be like, whatever. I rationalized so much.
but it's Brandon, it's what you've been saying all year. Is the big question about Jaden Ivey was his passing and whether he could play make, and he leads all rookies in assists. So all of these other guys that these guys are going to be this, and he's going to have trouble adjusting to the NBA game. He plays a little bit too fast, and he's going to have to slow down. And he did exactly that. He understood the assignment, and he did it, and he shot better. And what's he shooting from three now?
I think just under
actually 33,
about 33.5. I believe.
33. You tell me at the beginning of the year Jaden Ivey's going to shoot 33 and average 5 assists, and I tell you that's a successful year. I don't even care what the rest of the numbers are.
Did you tell me go back to the tapes when we were like, can he get to there, and we will call that a successful rookie season?
Yeah,
because that's what we did. We were like, can he get to like 33, 34%? Can he average 5 assists per game? Those were the questions facing him, because we didn't really know coming out of Purdue. It wasn't necessarily offense that I believe catered to his skill set. And what we knew with the NBA spacing, what we saw other players do, if he had any amount of basketball IQ, this thing was going to work out for him because he was going to have the opportunities. We look at other players that I think are really skilled and talented, but have a little bit lesser basketball IQ. I believe like a guy like some of those guys down in Houston. I believe some of those guys are skilled guys, but their basketball IQ is just not there, and it hurts them. So they can go out there some nights and have flashier scoring nights than Jaden Ivey. When you look at this thing from a consistency standpoint, he's just continued to go out there and be something foundationally, Jaden Ivey's going to be this. And with, being able to, not just be, it's space in the middle of the floor, I'm going to be a dunker, or space in the middle of the floor, I'm going to continue to just try and go and get mine. He's continued to, like Laz said, rapidly improve his playmaking. Like I want to see him get those turnovers under control, but the types of turnovers they are, some of them I'm like, okay, I'll give you 1 or 2 of those a game as a rookie. The other ones, if you're trying to make a good play, if you're trying to learn how to play as a facilitator, something that you haven't been trained in, yet, not in college, not at this stage until now, I will live with some of that stuff. But overall, he's just been somebody that I have to honestly say he's kind of past my expectations that I believe, like my rookie year expectations for Jaden Ivey. And I've had to consistently reshape. I thought, Laz, I tell this to Rod all the time, I thought that Jaden Ivey was at first a Robin to a Batman. And there's nothing wrong with Robin, especially when he becomes Nightwing. I love it, man. Shout out DC. I love it. It's nothing wrong with that. But he quickly changed my mind. I was like, this guy got the potential to be Superman. And now I'm sitting here saying, no, he is. He's Superman next to K's Batman to me. He has that next level potential. I do want to get your thoughts on it before we move to James Wiseman.
No, absolutely. Ivy has definitely turned me around. I was the guy who was looking at like Scoot Henderson at the top of like this year's draft and being like, ooh, I don't know, like Scoot seems way, way better than Ivy. And so like I'm fine moving on from Ivy if it guarantees you a shot at that guy. And now like now that decision is a lot tougher. It's just a lot tougher because of the way Ivy has improved rapidly throughout the season. It was like me and Ben on the podcast talked a lot about how we needed to see him make improvements defensively as well. Yeah, shout out to Ben. And he's done that as well. He had a really nice like shot clock violation force on Trae Young last night in the first quarter because he was like paying attention on ball after the relocation. It's like that's the type of stuff too that is really going to make a difference down the line when this Pistons team is trying to win games. I had my doubts about Jaden Ivey, he's turned me around. I'm a big Jaden Ivey fan now. I really think he's like a long-term part of this team's future.
I like to hear that. And Rod and Laz, I want to ask you guys both this. And this is just kind of off the cuff. With Scoot Henderson, do you foresee if he's the guy, if the Pistons are at number 2, is that a pick that you trade out of, or can they make that work similar to Benedict Mathurin off the bench? Is he a guy that you can say, you know what, if they pick him, you get your 25, 30 points and your shot attempts off the bench and just go? Is he a guy that you can use that way, or is that a pick that you trade out of or do something else?
I'll let Rod go first because Rod seems like he's deep in thought about this.
So, not coincidentally, this Brandon Miller love has started to flower in the past week or two. Like, who does a here are the best draft prospects in the NCAA tournament, knowing that there's no Victor and knowing that there's no Scoot? Like, what's the point of doing something like that? Because you want to put Brandon Miller at the top of that list and have him be number 1 in something, sure. Now NBA GMs are saying Brandon Miller might be the pick at number 2 over who? Put that is who? Put some names to that, because that's wild behavior. When you're gonna tell me Brandon Miller, some front office guy told you that. No.
Oh man, I can't wait for draft coverage.
Because in the midst of that dude being involved in a murder that some GM, every front office person that's going to talk to you would say that dude has it on the court, but we got to figure out what's going on with the other stuff off the court. Every single front office person is going to give you the exact same answer. Nobody's going to say, yep, I'd use my number 2 pick on him, because those are people who don't have the number 2 pick and don't have to go through that issue and aren't going to have to deal with those fans. Give me names if you're going to tell me that's what somebody said.
I love that. Give me names.
Because
it's like, who are you?
Who does that? Nobody in the front office. So it might be it might be Golden State's GM, or it might be like Milwaukee's GM, but nobody's going to say that has a chance at the number 2 pick, because that's anyway.
Hey, Golden State can afford to kind of just stash a guy. They've done things like this. We can't afford necessarily to do that.
Right. Or somebody who's trying to plant that to make.
Yeah, that is my thought, Ron. It's like this is, are we starting the smokescreen season early, right?
In the tournament? Are we starting it that early?
Well, if Wemby is just like a foregone conclusion at 1 and you're trying to get ahead of the pack of everybody, like I understand. Well, I understand where you're coming from. And I wish, Brandon, I wish I could be even-handed. I wish I could give you the other side of the argument. But no, Scoot's just a much better prospect than Brandon Miller is at this point in time. And I would definitely be invested in making that 3-guard tandem work in some way. To me, all that means is that you don't have to play all 3 of them all at the same time. To me, it just means you can play 2 of them all at the same time. And that's still really good. To me, that does also that kind of kicks out Killian, but that at this point, that seems like that's going to go down anyway. So you do what you have to do to improve. They've already traded Sadiq. It's it makes a lot of sense that they're not attached to these guys that they drafted initially, that were part of their core 4 or whatever. So I would still go with Scoot at 2 and not
figure it out.
Yeah, not really think that hard about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you guys are in lockstep with that too, because that was my thinking. I was like, am I tripping here? And we've talked about that, right? We just before we understood even what Ivy could be. If we came into this season talking about the prospects of the 3-guard rotation of Killian, Cade, and Ivy, what are we talking about trading out of or getting another player when Scoot is that deal? I was sitting here like, what are we doing? You figure that out.
Unless the only way you can talk me out of Scoot at 2 is if you're giving me a high-level wing, veteran wing, that's going to push this thing forward a lot more quickly than that. That's the only way that you can talk me out of Scoot. If the Pistons end up at number 2, and I can listen.
And that's a different choice than like Scoot or Brandon Miller,
Exactly,
right? Like that's a much different decision. Yeah,
exactly.
And I agree with you.
Hey, Laz has you covered, man. You are.
We're gonna get to this James Wiseman.
You don't even need me anymore. You got Laz that's helping you to steer the ship. He's got all of the same temperament and the logic that I got. So you're missing nothing by me jumping out of here.
Hey, look, people, put a drum roll in the comments for Rod Beard. Please do. And look, man, Rod kept it together. He tried, man. He tried to stay out the comments. I know you gotta go. I should have did this.
No, man, but
shout out Rod Beard.
After Scoot gets shut down, then we start getting all this Brandon Miller love. And in the midst of a criminal investigation that this dude is involved in, he could be the number 2 pick. Come on, man. I've been around this game too long, and I can see when something just stank. It's not even that it doesn't smell right. It just stank. Like, why are y'all planting this stuff right now? This is all orchestrated. Hey, man. Y'all enjoy y'all Wednesday. I'm about to go and do something else.
Shout out, Rod.
Shout out to the legend Detroit News, Rod Beard. Yo, bro, today you got a whole. I went down all the times and everything, boy.
The snares and all the way down the line. All right, bros, take it easy.
Peace out, man. Dog, yo, I always love Rod Beard for giving us time for this platform. I love it. You know, we want to get more people involved. So, Laz, I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you, making up for my oversight. You know, look, guys, we get busy. I was like, crap, it's the last Wednesday of the month. I was like, Laz, bro, I hope you can make it. We're gonna accommodate in any way possible.
I thought so. I miscounted because I'm like, is next Wednesday April? Like, is he gonna hit me up? I was like, nah, you know what? It's fine. He'll hit me up whenever it happens.
No. Listen, I really, really, really respect this community because for a long time it's what I consumed, and I still do. You know, the capacity I'm serving with Woodward Sports and Woodward Pistons and things. That's just kind of joining the ranks and realistically trying to make sure that this community and everybody that joins it, you know, that I'm living up to and contributing in the same ways that you all have. You all set standards in this thing, you know. So it matters, man. And I'm grateful that you were able to take the time to be on with us this morning.
No, really absolutely, man. Absolutely. But let's talk about James Wiseman, though.
Let's get there because very quickly, man, James Wiseman has, and I want to continue to say small sample size. I'm not going to get hooked. Wait, what? He's about to average, like 16 and 10 almost in his time as a Piston? And it's just like, wow, you know, Rod and I started the season asking him, do the Pistons have any big man on the roster that will finish the season averaging a double-double? And we were just like, nah.
Yeah,
we don't like irregardless of their role, irregardless of how that was going to affect the team positively or negatively. If they were playing more outside, we just didn't know. We were like, we didn't see anybody at that point in time who fit. We thought Duren had the ability, but we didn't know what was going to go on with his playing time. Yeah, you know, we see even right now, based on that playing time, is keeping him like right around 8 rebounds a game. But James Wiseman has come in, somebody who we thought wasn't really going to be that big of a rebounder, or what people were telling me. And he's found a way to get to 8, 9, 10 rebounds per game. And last, I don't know if it's just me, bro. I get excited when I see a big, for like the first time in years, who we could throw the ball to in the paint consistently. And you're like, oh, he about to hook that. It's in. I like no flinching, no drumming, no off the backboard, no like Josh Smith, what are you doing? Right. Like Greg Monroe, we know you got the skill, but you've missed your last 3 hook shots. They just throw him the ball like even in the high post, and he's just like layup. Like my hook shot is my layup, like from anywhere on the court. Dude, James Wiseman to me, as it relates to big men, has been a, you know, I don't know what he is, a center, a power forward. It's been a breath of fresh air, man. At least for me. Is he, in your opinion, the best big man on the roster right now?
No.
Ooh.
I don't think so. I think Jalen Duren is still better than him. I would still start Jalen Duren. I know why they're not starting Jalen Duren. And it makes sense. And it's also like with 11 games left in the season, I guess it's like a sure, like you guys do you thing. But I think there's a whole other end of the floor that I like my big men to be proficient at. And James Wiseman is not quite there yet.
Talk to him, man. Talk to me.
Well, so you saw this last night against Atlanta. There was like the first play of the second half. Like Wiseman does like a good job in the drop, playing the man and the ball, and then they go out. It's like Trey like dribbles like underneath the basket, and he's like, okay, like cool. I got Trey to like not take the layup. Like I'm good. And he kind of like relaxes. And then like in that moment, Trey like whips a pass to John Collins. It's a dunk. And James Wiseman is like, huh? What? Oh, my bad. So but like again, like he's 21. He's not, it's like he is not a finished product. He's only like he's played like I don't know if he still played fewer minutes than Jalen Duren, but like it's still close. But like that kind of thing is the thing that like still gets me to the point where I'm like, Jalen Duren is still probably more useful to this team right now than he is. But
that's a good wrinkle. I'm glad you called that out.
Yeah. But I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast yesterday, and he had Russillo on, and they were talking about James Wiseman for like a hot second. And the thing that they were bringing up that I had not really considered was that like Wiseman is at least like trying to play NBA defense. He's just like out of position and like not processing the game like very quickly at this point. And with young bigs, it's like sometimes we remember this with Andre, right? Like sometimes just getting them to try is half the battle when it comes to defense.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one thing you can say in Wiseman's like defense on the defensive end is that like you can tell he like wants to be in the right position. He wants to be great on that end. He just like does not because of the COVID years, because of the 3 games in college, he just like does not have the foundation that you would like normally build on top of in terms of like reps. And like that's going to take time. But like offensively, like you're saying, he's a dude that big, that agile, who has pretty good touch around the rim. Like you definitely see like what the elevator pitch is for a guy like that on offense. He's averaging like almost 14 points a game in like 27 minutes a game. He was shooting like 65% of the floor at one point. I think that's down a little bit. Decent. But yeah, he is really skilled offensively. Like he annoys me sometimes because he calls for the ball every single time he's on the floor. Every single time he slips a screen, he's rolling into the paint. He's like, "Give me the ball." It's
like, and then he just instantly like puts his hands on like man, the nerves of you. Like, he looked at Kojo one time like,
the first 5 games, him and Kojo was like, "Bro, like set an actual screen, please." And he's like, "Give me the ball," and they're just like,
I noticed that those slips to the I noticed that those early slips into the middle of the paint, and I'm like, I get you, but if they're trying to run a play, your point guard is expecting you to be somewhere. Like, especially Kojo and these guys, when you're the big man setting the screen, your point guard is now being defended by either his point guard and probably your 6'7", 6'8", 6'10" defender. He's not looking back and seeing that you probably slipped the screen. He's looking for you probably as a roller to be able to seal off and create space for one of you two. Like, you know what I mean? So I get you on that. This is why we have Laz on, guys. This is why we have Laz on. I like your basketball mind, Lazerus Jackson.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's like he's got a lot of potential. He's very clearly got a ton of potential. It's just a matter of getting those reps, building up that defensive base, and like learning how to set hard screens. Because he's so big. It's like, bro, if you actually like made contact, you would create so much separation. You would make your life so much easier. But
and he'll get it. The fair thing is that he just hasn't had the opportunities to not just play. When they don't even think that you're playing, what are you working on in practice?
Right.
You know, and I'm glad like I got to ask him a question before on the Rare Access live huddle they had with him.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool. And it was about that. And he said, look, man, I didn't really care what anyone else was talking about. I still don't. I've just tried to keep myself ready. I knew what I could do. And beyond that, I'm trying to do now what the team is asking me to do. And that's good on him because a lot of those people don't stay ready. We've seen these guys, these former high, rated picks kind of get lost in the sauce, man. And if they don't get the opportunities early, when they wind up getting them later, they wind up not being people who can even hold the water that, the water bottle that James Wiseman is holding right now. And so it's like, it's encouraging. Defensively, I 100% agree because that's what we've talked about all season. Our bigs are getting punked. We're getting punished. I think the rebound battle last night, we lost 61-38.
Yeah, the rebound battle was terrible last night.
Yeah, and that's been all season, whether we've been injured or not.
Yes.
So we know, like, yes, I like the way that Stewart rebounds. So whether he's there or not, though, we've still kind of gotten punked because you need more than him. It's like, I love Cade, but we're not going to sit around and be like, oh, we got a Cade. We're going to the finals. It is not how that works. Like, Ben Wallace needed Rashid, needed Corliss. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like needed Eldon, bro. They got to the finals and needed Uncle Eldon, man. Think about that. So it's just like, I love Stu. And I'm grateful that we got James Wiseman now. I want to see him get a little bit more, where he's not defensively, good instinctually. I want to see him improve on the things he can actually control. Like Jalen Duren, just instinctually, you see him doing things like, he got it. That block
on Caleb Martin, like earlier this week. It's like that's the type of thing, the recognition, the processing, the athleticism.
Look at how he jumped. He didn't even jump at him. He looked at the guy and then jumped at a spot and met him. And I was just like, oh, that's some Ben Wallace stuff.
Yeah.
Let me stop, man. Let me stop. I was like that. And you're right. You're right. Because that's special. Because we've seen, bro, I had flashbacks of Andre Drummond getting dunked on by what's my man's name? He was on the Heat for a long time. I forgot his name. And he just a couple times just came through the middle and just bam. And I remember in another game came through and just dunked on him.
James Johnson.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
So to see our guy this time say, no, nah, bro. I know what's going on here. You ain't getting me like that. It was awesome, man. But Laz, thank you, man, for everything that you contributed. This was a good conversation, man. Good conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Shut it down soon. What'd you say, brother?
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I love talking. So like we can absolutely do this again in the future.
Definitely. I'm gonna try to have you on every last Wednesday. And look, on the table talks, definitely just come on over, man. Sean is always gonna know when we're doing them. You always got the invite, brother. Always.
I appreciate it.
But any last words?
Man, let's get these 11 games finished with so we can figure out where we are in the lottery, because that's gonna be a big thing.
That's what matters.
Where this team is headed.
That's what matters now.
Yeah.
Look, I love this, man. Again, thank you for taking the time out. Thank you for joining us and bringing your insight and your knowledge, man. As always, support them. Tell the people where they can find you before we sign off.
Of course, y'all can follow me on Twitter at Last Chance. It's on the little chyron beneath me. The podcast is in a little bit of a state of flux, but you can still find it on the feed that used to be the Detroit Bad Boys podcast feed. You can still find my work at DetroitBadBoys.com. You should still support that site. Those are great people. Those are the people who give me the opportunities that I have. So shout out Sean Corp and Brady Fredrickson. Shout out those guys. But yeah, you should go and get your Pistons content when you're done here with Woodward Sports over at DetroitBadBoys.com.
Yes. It's you all, Detroit Bad Boys and Detroit News. We support everybody. I love Athletic and Free Press, but we find ourselves definitely enjoying the content that we produce with you all. I think we've been collaborating now for some time. We need to make this happen more, so we will. But hey, look, guys, for the Woodward Pistons platform, for Jeff Iafrady, Mr. Everything, for Rod Beard, Detroit News. Hey, for Lazerus Jackson, our guest. My name is Brandon Dent, aka Detroit Kool-Aid. I'm gonna do this drum roll anyway for Rod. Hey, yo! Shout out to the legend, Detroit News, Rod Beard. Thank you always for your time and for making this stuff go. Till next time, y'all.